askings, he said it was a vanity.
Chris Farfoy.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. It's a pleasure to speak to Part 3 of the New Zealand Flag Referendums Bill. Mr Chair, I do think there is a strange irony or tension between, I think it is Clause 4 changes to 5, 2 and 3, and I will read them out as my colleague Phil Goff did, because I think Clause 5, the new inserted Clause 5, 2 and 3 really does talk about the significance of the flag to a nation. Clause 5.2 says the New Zealand flag is the symbol of the realm, government and people of New Zealand. The New Zealand flag is a national flag of New Zealand for general use on land within New Zealand, and where appropriate for international purposes overseas is the proper national colours to be worn by all New Zealand government ships. So that sets out just how significant the current flag and any possible new flag may be. But the select committee process by which this bill went through the House treated the submitters as if though they were insignificant. Mr Chair, I believe that there were close to 750 submissions from people who didn't get the chance to make a submission at all. Those who did submit, Mr Chair, got 5 minutes on such an issue of national significance. I believe the only organisation that did get more than 5 minutes, Mr Chair, was the Return Services Association. And I think that it's appropriate that they do get more, but you would think they would have got more than 10 minutes for something that is of such huge significance to this nation. Mr Chair, there is something also within this clause that talks to the significance of the timing of this, Mr Chair. We've just come back from a one-week adjournment. I didn't have anyone knocking down my electorate office door saying, Chris, can you please make sure that we change the flag? I had a lot of people come to me to talk about domestic violence. I had a lot of people come to me to talk to me about housing, about making sure they have jobs, but no one came knocking down the door to ask us to change the flag. In fact, the government turned away as many people at the select committee process as actually attended all the meetings right around the country to say this is a good idea. So, Mr Chair, this is a significant issue, and I think the new Clause 5 that is inserted here under Part 3 does talk about the significance of what we are doing. But, Mr Chair, it's clear to see from the lack of uptake from the government process with their engagement with the meetings, and that cost a hell of a lot of money. I think a lot of the feedback that the government would have got at the select committee process, which they turned away, which I think a lot of it would have been negative about this change, and the general feeling amongst the community, I think it was the New Zealand Herald, that said 70% of New Zealanders don't want this change, that this is the wrong thing to do right now. A lot has been made about the cost that is involved with this, Mr Chair. $26 million is not chump change. There are plenty of other things that New Zealanders or this Parliament could do with $26 million than do something that New Zealanders don't want done right now. There may be a time and a place to change the flag, but it is not right now. My personal feeling is I don't want to change the flag. I've changed my mind on the flag. When I was young, I said, yes, let's have a new flag. In fact, over time, I've become much more aware, becoming a bit more mature and travelling overseas of the significance of the New Zealand flag. And we can talk later when we come to Schedules 1, 2 and 3 about the process in which the government is using to ask the questions of the public, which is a bit skew with, about changing our flag, because I've got that around the wrong way. But right now, New Zealanders don't want this. And Part 5, which is inserted in this bill, Part 3, shows just how significant what we're doing is, because it's not just a symbol that we throw away, it will go on the arms of people who will fight for this nation. So if we're going to do it, let's do it because the people want it changed and they choose what they want to choose. And if they don't want to change the flag right now, Mr Chair, then let's not do it. But we're not even asking that question first. We're asking what would you like if the flag were to change? Mr Chair, I don't think that any kind of sane person would use that process. Any person outside of this House would think that's asked about face. We want to know if we want to change the flag first, not what do we want to change it to if we get the chance to change it.
A point of order, Tim McIndoe.
Chair, yet again we have a member straying far into the version of irrelevancy, and I'd point out that under the Speaker's ruling 86(1), there is no reason why I can't draw that to your attention, and I do so now.
Speaking to the point of order, Mr Chair,
Point of order. Carmel Sippel.
Mr Chair, this was raised by our Senior Whip earlier. It is not the role of the National Government's Senior Whip to point out the relevance of our speeches, and we trust, Mr Chair, that you will use your discretion to advise us if you think that there are any problems with relevance.
Order.
Well, I don't need to continue taking, if there wants to be some spat over who can raise what when, take it somewhere else. Don't soak up time in the chamber, because it undermines the point of order that the member's making, that the chamber shouldn't muck around with this particular line of debate. The member has the floor, and I invite him to continue.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. Going back for the benefit of the Senior Government Whip to Clause 4, about the significance of the decision that we are putting in train, Mr Chair. This is not something that we want to do just because the government wants to do it. It is of significance. It is a symbol of this realm.
Oh, I call John O'Naylor.
Question be now put.
I call Stuart Nash.